When my husband's wallet fell open at the restaurant, an ultrasound photo slipped out. 12 weeks, it said, with a note. Our little secret, Daddy. I'm 56. I can't get pregnant. I haven't been able to for years. Then I recognized the handwriting and my blood went cold. Those loopy letters, I knew I'd seen them before. It took me 3 sleepless nights to figure out where. My name is Celine Carpenter, and I'm a real estate agent in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've lived here for 30 years, built my career from nothing, survived a difficult first marriage, and learned to stand on my own 2 feet. The night this all started, I thought I was celebrating one of the best moments of my professional life. Instead, it became the night my marriage shattered into 1,000 pieces. It was a Friday evening in March. I was sitting across from my husband Ryan at Romano's Italian restaurant, our favorite spot in Old Town Scottsdale. We'd been coming here for years, always requested the corner booth with the view of the patio fountain. The waiter knew us by name, knew that Ryan always ordered the veal piccata and I always got the seafood risotto. But tonight was special. We were celebrating the biggest sale of my career, a $2.3 million estate in Paradise Valley, one of those sprawling Mediterranean-style homes with mountain views and a pool that looked like it belonged in a resort. 25 years in real estate, and this was my crown jewel. Ryan raised his champagne glass, that crooked smile spreading across his face. The smile I'd fallen in love with 11 years ago at a charity golf tournament. "To my brilliant wife," he said, "no one works harder than you. No one deserves this more." The candlelight caught the silver threading through his dark hair. At 58, he was still handsome, distinguished even. Women at the country club still gave him second looks. I used to feel proud of that, proud that he'd chosen me. "Thank you for always supporting me," I said, reaching across the white tablecloth to squeeze his hand. His fingers were warm, familiar. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." He squeezed back, but something flickered across his face, just for a second. A shadow of something I couldn't quite name. Guilt? Worry? No, I told myself, stress. His HVAC business. Carpenter cooling and heating had been demanding lately. Supply chain issues, staffing problems, the usual headaches of running a company. We ordered our usual meals. We talked about my sale, about his day, about whether we should finally book that trip to Italy we'd been discussing for years. Everything felt normal. Everything felt right. When the check came, Ryan stood to grab his jacket from the back of his chair. That's when it happened. His wallet, that thick brown leather bifold I'd given him for Christmas 3 years ago, tumbled from his jacket pocket. It hit the edge of the table and cards scattered everywhere. Credit cards, business cards, his driver's license, all sliding across the floor. "Oh no," I said, laughing a little, setting down my napkin. "Here, let me help." I bent down and started gathering the cards. A Visa card near my foot, his Costco membership by the table leg. And then, tucked between 2 credit cards, I saw it. A photograph. Small, the size of a credit card with that distinctive black and white grainy quality. An ultrasound image. My hand froze halfway to picking it up. For a moment, I couldn't process what I was seeing. The curved shape, the tiny bean-like form floating in darkness. 12 weeks, 3 days. Printed in the corner with clinical precision. And there, written across the white border in silver Sharpie in handwriting that was distinctly feminine, distinctly loopy, "Our little secret, Daddy." The restaurant noise faded to a dull roar. My heart started pounding so hard, I could feel it in my throat, in my ears, in my fingertips as they touched the edge of the photograph. Ryan must have realized what I was looking at because he snatched it from my hand. Not gently, not casually. He grabbed it with a desperate urgency that told me everything I needed to know. "That's nothing," he said quickly, too quickly, stuffing it back into his wallet along with the other cards. His hands were shaking. I could see them trembling as he shoved everything back into the leather billfold. "It's just a client's kid. She asked me to hold on to it. Weird, I know. I forgot it was even in there." I stared at him, really looked at him. His face had gone pale under his tan. A thin sheen of sweat had appeared on his forehead. His eyes wouldn't meet mine, kept darting away, looking at the wall, the window, anywhere but at me. "A client asked you to hold on to her ultrasound photo?" I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. "Yeah, Long story. Something about surprising her husband. I don't know. I'll explain later. He pulled out his credit card to pay the check, his movements jerky and too fast. Let's go. It's getting late. We walked to the car in complete silence. The March evening was beautiful, warm, with a slight breeze, the kind of perfect Arizona night that usually made me feel grateful to live here. But I felt nothing except the pounding of my heart and a cold, creeping dread spreading through my chest. Ryan turned on the radio as soon as we got in the car. Classic rock, loud, too loud for conversation. Bruce Springsteen singing about glory days. I stared out the window at the passing lights of Scottsdale, the luxury car dealerships and high-end restaurants and art galleries, and tried to breathe normally, tried to think. Who writes daddy on an ultrasound photo for a client? No one. That's who. But the handwriting, that loopy, feminine handwriting with the little heart incorporated into the letter C. I knew that handwriting. I'd seen it before, but my mind was too scrambled, too panicked to place it. When we pulled into our driveway, Ryan was out of the car before I'd even unbuckled my seatbelt. I've got some work emails to check, he muttered, heading straight for his study the moment we got inside. The door closed behind him with a decisive click. I stood in our bedroom, still wearing my navy dress and pearl earrings, my heels kicked off onto the carpet. The room felt unfamiliar suddenly, like I was seeing it for the first time. The king-sized bed we'd picked out together. The framed photos on the dresser, our wedding day, a trip to San Francisco, last Christmas with his family. All of it felt like props in a play I hadn't known I was performing in. I sat on the edge of the bed and picked up my phone. My hands were shaking so badly, it took me 3 tries to unlock it. I opened my photo app and started scrolling backward through months of pictures. There had to be something. Birthday cards, thank you notes, anything with handwriting I could compare. I scrolled past photos of houses I'd sold, selfies with clients at closings, pictures of my garden, shots of food from restaurants. Then I found it. A photo from 3 months ago, early December. A birthday card I'd saved because the message inside had been so sweet. I'd taken a picture of it to send to my friend Diane to show her how thoughtful the sender had been. The handwriting, those loopy letters with the exaggerated curves, the way the eyes were dotted with little circles instead of dots, the way the letter C was made with a flourish, with a tiny heart forming the tail. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might be sick right there on our bedroom carpet. The card was from Carrie Morrison, Ryan's ex-stepdaughter. I zoomed in on the signature. Love always, Carrie, with that distinctive heart and that looping C. It was the same. It was exactly the same. I set the phone down on the bedspread, my hands trembling so violently now that I had to clasp them together. This was impossible. This was insane. I was being paranoid, letting my imagination run wild, seeing connections that didn't exist. Because Carrie? Sweet Carrie with the bright smile and the infectious laugh. Carrie who called me for advice about her job, who texted me funny memes about real estate, who met me for brunch and told me about her dates and her dreams. Carrie, who I'd helped raise, in a way, who'd been 16 when I married Ryan, surly and resentful at first, but who'd gradually warmed up to me over the years, who'd become, I thought, something like a daughter to me. Absolutely not. It couldn't be her. But a small, insistent voice in the back of my mind whispered, "When was the last time you actually saw Carrie?" I pulled up my calendar app, scrolling back through the weeks. She'd canceled our brunch 3 weeks ago. "So sorry, Celine, work is insane right now. Can we reschedule?" And 3 weeks before that. "I'm not feeling great, rain check." And the time before that. "Things are so crazy. Can we push to next month?" 3 cancellations in a row, almost 2 months of excuses. And before that, I kept scrolling. We'd had brunch in January, early January. It was now late March, 2.5 months since I'd actually seen her in person. "Stop it," I told myself firmly. "You're spiraling. You're letting one weird coincidence turn into a conspiracy theory. There are thousands of women who write like that. Millions, probably." But my hands reached for my phone again anyway. I couldn't stop myself. I opened Instagram, an app I barely used but kept because Carrie posted on it frequently, and it made me feel connected to her life. I found her profile and started scrolling through her recent posts. 2 weeks ago, A photo of a latte with intricate foam art. Coffee is life. 3 weeks ago, a sunset photo taken from what looked like a balcony. Grateful for this view. 4 weeks ago, a selfie in a bathroom mirror. Carrie making a duck face at the camera, wearing an oversized sweater. Cozy vibes. I stared at that photo for a long time. The oversized sweater. Was she hiding something under it? Or was I reading into everything now, seeing clues that didn't exist? I went back to the sunset photo and zoomed in. The image was taken through a glass door, and in the reflection, I could see red tile roofs, the kind that are distinctive to certain apartment complexes in Arizona. I'd seen those roofs before. Where? I opened Google Maps and typed in Apartments Tempe, Arizona red tile roof. Several complexes came up. One of them, Sonoran Vista Apartments, looked familiar. Why did I know that name? And then I remembered. Last month I'd been reviewing our credit card statement online, categorizing expenses for our taxes. There'd been a charge from a restaurant I didn't recognize. When I'd looked up the address, it had been right next to Sonoran Vista Apartments. I'd asked Ryan about it. Oh, that? Met a client for lunch near their place in Tempe. You know how it is. I hadn't thought anything of it at the time. Now I logged into our bank account, my heart hammering. I pulled up our credit card statement and started scrolling through charges from the past 3 months. There, a charge from Bella Beginnings, $287.42, 2 weeks ago. I Googled Bella Beginnings Scottsdale. Bella Beginnings Maternity Boutique, specializing in maternity wear and nursery items. My vision blurred. I had to set the phone down and put my head between my knees because I thought I was going to pass out. A maternity store. Ryan's credit card. 2 weeks ago, when I could breathe again, I picked up the phone and kept looking. A charge from a restaurant in Old Town Scottsdale called Valentino's. $156. 3 weeks ago, on a Tuesday night. The same night Ryan had told me he had Rotary Club. A charge from a hotel in Sedona. $342. 2 months ago, the same weekend Ryan had told me he was going to an HVAC industry conference in Tucson. I felt like I was watching my life rewrite itself in real time. Every charge, every date, every explanation Ryan had given me was suddenly suspect. I opened a new browser tab and logged into our cell phone account. We had a family plan, for years. I'd never looked at the details before because I'd never had a reason to. Why would I? I trusted him. I navigated to Ryan's line and pulled up his location history for the past month. Every Tuesday evening for the past 6 weeks, his phone had pinged at the exact same location, an address in Tempe. I copied the address and pasted it into Google Maps. Sonoran Vista Apartments, the same complex with the red tile roofs from Carrie's Instagram photo. I stood up from the bed, walked to the bathroom, bent over the toilet, and vomited. Everything from dinner came up. The risotto, the champagne, the tiramisu we'd shared for dessert. When there was nothing left, I rinsed my mouth and looked at myself in the mirror. My face was dead white. My eyes were red-rimmed and wild. My carefully applied makeup from the celebration dinner was smudged. I looked old, older than 56. I looked like a woman whose world was ending. Because it was, wasn't it? My husband was having an affair with my stepdaughter, and she was pregnant. No, I still didn't know that for sure. The handwriting could be a coincidence. The location data could be explained. Maybe Ryan was helping Carrie with something. Maybe she was having problems with her apartment and he was helping her deal with the landlord. Maybe ... Stop making excuses for him, a cold voice in my head said. You know what this is, but I couldn't face it yet. Not completely. I needed more proof. I waited until I heard Ryan snoring from the bedroom. He'd come to bed around midnight, not speaking to me, just collapsing onto his side of the mattress and falling asleep immediately. Or pretending to. At 1 a.m, I crept out to the garage. Ryan's SUV was parked in its usual spot, still smelling faintly of his cologne and the pine air freshener that hung from the rearview mirror. I opened the driver's side door as quietly as I could and turned on my phone's flashlight. I checked the glove compartment first. Registration, insurance papers, the owner's manual, a stack of napkins from In-N-Out Burger, a tire pressure gauge, nothing unusual. I checked the center console. Loose change, a charging cable, some old receipts for gas. Then I got down on my hands and knees and checked under the seats. Under the passenger seat, my fingers brushed against something small and cylindrical. I pulled it out. A prescription bottle, the orange kind from CVS Pharmacy. I shone my flashlight on the label. Carrie Morrison, prenatal vitamins. Take 1 tablet daily. The bottle was nearly full. The prescription date was 3 weeks ago. I sat back on my heels in the garage, the bottle clutched in my hand, and the last of my denial crumbled away. This was real. This was happening. My husband was having an affair with Carrie, and she was pregnant with his baby. The girl I'd tried to be a mother to. The girl I'd taken shopping for her first professional interview outfit. The girl who'd cried on my shoulder when her boyfriend broke up with her 3 years ago, and I'd made her tea and told her she deserved better. That girl was sleeping with my husband. I took a photo of the prescription bottle with my phone, then put it back exactly where I'd found it. I went back inside and sat at the kitchen table in the dark, my mind racing. I should confront them, right now. Wake Ryan up and demand the truth. But what would that accomplish? He'd deny it, minimize it, gaslight me into thinking I was imagining things. And Carrie would cry and apologize, and they'd both make me feel like I was the crazy one for being suspicious. If this was really happening, I needed to be smart about it, strategic. I thought about the women I'd known over the years who'd been blindsided by divorce. Women who'd trusted their husbands completely and ended up with nothing because they hadn't protected themselves. Women who hadn't documented anything, who'd been painted as bitter or crazy or vindictive when they tried to speak the truth. I wasn't going to be one of those women. I opened my laptop and created a new folder. I labeled it Evidence and started adding files, screenshots of the credit card charges, screenshots of Ryan's location history, photos of the prenatal vitamins, the picture of Carrie's handwriting next to the ultrasound handwriting. I documented everything with dates and times and notes about what Ryan had told me he was doing on each of those days. By the time the sun started to rise, I had a comprehensive file, proof, undeniable proof. I closed the laptop and made myself a cup of coffee with shaking hands. I still couldn't believe this was my life. At 7 a.m., my phone rang. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. Carrie's name flashed on the screen. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. What could she possibly want? I answered, forcing my voice to sound normal. Hey, sweetie. Celine. Hi. Her voice was bright, cheerful, with no hint that anything was wrong. I know I've been like the worst about staying in touch. I'm so sorry, but I miss you. Are you free for brunch this Sunday? I have something really exciting to tell you. Something exciting to tell me. She was going to tell me about the baby. She was going to sit across from me at some cafe and tell me she was pregnant and I was supposed to be happy for her. Sure, I heard myself say. I'd love that. Perfect. How about snooze, our usual place, 10 a.m.? Sounds great. I'm so excited. See you then. Love you. Love you too, I said automatically and hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. She was going to tell me, at brunch, in public. She was going to look me in the eye and tell me she was pregnant and I was supposed to smile and congratulate her and be supportive. And Ryan, did he know she was planning this? Had they discussed it? I felt a cold fury beginning to build in my chest. Not the hot, explosive kind of anger. Something colder, harder, more dangerous. They thought they could do this to me and I would just accept it. They thought they could betray me and I would stay silent, be the gracious loser, step aside politely. They were wrong. Over the next 3 days, I planned. I called Ryan's mother, Helen, who lived in Sun City, about 40 minutes away. Helen was 82, sharp as a tack, a widow who'd raised 3 children on her own after Ryan's father died of a heart attack when Ryan was 12. She was deeply religious, very traditional, and had very firm opinions about family loyalty and doing the right thing. Celine, dear, what a lovely surprise. Hi, Helen. I was wondering if you'd be free for Sunday dinner this week. I'm making your pot roast recipe, the one you taught me when Ryan and I first got married. Oh, I'd love that. It's been too long since we've all been together. Is it a special occasion? Just family time, I said. I feel like we never see everyone together anymore. Life gets so busy. You're so thoughtful. Of course I'll come. What time? 4 o'clock? Perfect. I'll bring my apple pie. Next, I called Ryan's brother Marcus, who was a pastor at a small church in Flagstaff. Marcus was deeply religious, even more so than Helen. He'd officiated our wedding ceremony. He and his wife Sonia had always been kind to me, had always made me feel like part of the family. Marcus, it's Celine. I know it's a long drive, but would you and Sonia be able to come down for Sunday dinner? It's important to me to have the whole family together. Of course, Celine. Is everything all right? You sound stressed. I'm fine, I lied. Just missing everyone. We never get together anymore. You're right, we don't. We'll be there. 4 o'clock? Yes, thank you, Marcus. I also called Ryan's sister Beth, who lived in Tucson. Beth was divorced, worked as a nurse, and had always been straightforward and no nonsense. I liked her. Family dinner Sunday at 4. Can you make it? Absolutely. Should I bring anything? Just yourself. Finally, I texted Carrie. Hey, sweetie. Change of plans for Sunday? Want to come to family dinner instead of just brunch? Everyone will be there, and you can share your exciting news with the whole family. It'll be so nice to have everyone together. 4 o'clock at our place. I watched the 3 dots appear and disappear. Appear and disappear. Finally, okay, that sounds great. Can't wait. I set my phone down and took a deep breath. On Saturday, I cleaned the house from top to bottom. I scrubbed bathrooms and vacuumed carpets and dusted every surface. I washed windows and cleaned out the refrigerator and organized the linen closet. My mother used to say that physical work helped clear the mind, and she was right. The repetitive motions, the visible progress, the sense of order I could create in at least this one small corner of my life. It helped. I set the dining room table with our wedding china, the Lennox set with the platinum trim that we only used for special occasions. I folded the linen napkins into fans and arranged fresh flowers from my garden in a crystal vase. I made Helen's pot roast, following her handwritten recipe card exactly. I peeled potatoes and carrots, browned the meat, added the right herbs and the secret ingredient, a tablespoon of instant coffee that somehow made the whole thing taste richer. I baked fresh bread, the kitchen filling with that warm, yeasty smell. Everything had to be perfect. I also made a call to my lawyer. Janet had handled my first divorce 25 years ago. We'd stayed in touch over the years. Not close friends, but friendly acquaintances. I knew she'd be discreet. Janet, I need to see you first thing Monday morning. Celine? What's wrong? I can't get into it right now, but I need you to draw up divorce papers, standard Arizona Community Property Division. I'll bring all the documentation on Monday. There was a long pause. Are you sure about this? I have never been more sure of anything in my life. Okay, I'll have everything ready. And Celine, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sunday arrived, a perfect Arizona spring day. The sky, that impossible blue that looks fake in photographs. The temperature in the low 70s. My garden was in full bloom, roses and jasmine and honeysuckle all perfuming the air. I got dressed carefully, a simple cream-colored dress, pearl earrings, my hair styled but not overdone. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. My face was calm, composed. No one looking at me would guess that inside, I was a roiling mass of fury and grief. Helen arrived first at 3:45, always punctual, carrying her famous apple pie in a covered dish. She hugged me tight, smelling of Chanel No. 5 and peppermint candies like she always did. You look tired, dear, she said, studying my face with concern. Are you feeling all right? Just been busy with work, I said, smiling. You know how it is. Come in, come in. Marcus and Sonia arrived at 10 to 4. Then Beth pulled up at 3:55. Ryan had been tense all day, asking questions. Why didn't you tell me you were planning this? Who all is coming? What's the occasion? I told you, just family time. Is that okay? Yeah, of course. It's just unexpected. He'd been checking his phone constantly all afternoon, going into his study to make whispered phone calls. I wondered if he was talking to Carrie. I wondered if they were panicking. Good. At 4:30, the doorbell rang. I opened it. Carrie stood on the doorstep, wearing a loose, flowy blouse over dark leggings. Her face was glowing, that unmistakable pregnancy glow I'd seen on so many of my clients over the years. Her long brown hair was glossy and thick. She looked beautiful. She also looked terrified. Hey, Celine. Her voice was too bright, too cheerful. This is such a nice surprise, having everyone together. She hugged me, and I felt it, the small but unmistakable swell of her belly pressing against me. You look beautiful, I said, and I meant it. Her eyes darted away from mine. Guilty, so guilty. We gathered around the dining room table. I'd positioned everyone carefully. Ryan at one end, me at the other, Helen on my right, Marcus on my left, Beth and Sonia and Carrie filling in the sides. The pot roast was perfect, the meat falling apart at the touch of a fork. The bread was warm and crusty. The conversation flowed easily at first. Helen talked about her water aerobics class and her garden club. Marcus discussed the new community center his church was building. Beth complained about hospital administration and ridiculous new policies. Carrie barely touched her food. She kept glancing at Ryan, who was drinking wine too quickly and barely participating in the conversation. I played the perfect hostess, passing dishes, refilling water glasses, asking questions, keeping the conversation moving. Inside, my heart was pounding so hard I was surprised no one could hear it. Finally, over dessert, Helen's apple pie with vanilla ice cream, Helen set down her fork and smiled at me. This has been absolutely lovely, Celine. Thank you so much for organizing this. We really don't get together enough. But I have to ask, is there a special occasion? You made such an effort. The table quieted, everyone looking at me. I set down my own fork carefully. Actually, I said, looking directly at Carrie, Carrie has some news she wanted to share with the family. Don't you, sweetheart? The color drained from Carrie's face. Oh, actually, maybe this isn't the best time. No, please, I said gently, encouragingly. Everyone's here. It's perfect. Go ahead. She looked at Ryan. Ryan had gone completely still, his face ashen. I'm pregnant, Carrie whispered. Helen gasped, her face lighting up with joy. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. Congratulations. She reached across the table to squeeze Carrie's hand. How far along are you? When are you due? This is such exciting news. Are you seeing someone special? You haven't told us about anyone. Carrie's eyes filled with tears. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The silence stretched. Carrie? Helen prompted, still smiling but starting to look confused. Who's the father? More silence. Marcus set down his dessert spoon. Carrie? I stood up slowly. I walked to the sideboard where I'd placed an envelope earlier. Every movement felt deliberate, like I was performing in a play. I opened the envelope and pulled out a printout, the ultrasound photo. I'd taken a picture of it on my phone before Ryan could hide it permanently, and I'd printed it on photo paper that morning. This fell out of Ryan's wallet last week at dinner, I said calmly. I held it up for everyone to see. See the note at the bottom? Our little secret, Daddy. And this handwriting, the way the C is made with the little heart, that's Carrie's handwriting. I placed the photo in the center of the table, right next to Helen's apple pie. Ryan has been having an affair with Carrie. She's 12 weeks pregnant with his baby. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. The only sound was the ticking of the clock on the wall and the faint hum of the air conditioning. Then everything exploded at once. Beth gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Sonia made a small sound of distress. Marcus pushed his chair back from the table, the legs scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. That's not... I can explain, Ryan started, his voice desperate. Celine, please, I'm so sorry. I never meant... Carrie was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks in black streams. But Helen's voice cut through everything like a knife. Ryan, Matthew Carpenter. Her voice was cold, colder than I'd ever heard it. Tell me this isn't true. Tell me right now that this is some kind of misunderstanding. Ryan couldn't speak. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Helen turned to Carrie, and the look on her face made Carrie flinch back in her chair. And you. I held you at your first communion. I bought you a car when you graduated from college. I've welcomed you into this family. Loved you like my own granddaughter. Her voice broke. How could you do this? Carrie sobbed harder, her face in her hands. Marcus stood up, his face red with anger. How long? His voice was shaking. How long has this been going on? No one answered. How long? He roared, slamming his palm on the table. The dishes rattled. About a year, Carrie whispered through her tears. A little over a year? Beth made a disgusted sound. Jesus Christ, Ryan. She's 30 years younger than you. You helped raise her. You were her father figure. I never adopted her, Ryan shouted back, finally finding his voice. We're not blood related. I was only married to her mother for 8 years. That's your defense? Marcus was shaking with rage. That's what you're going with? That you weren't technically her father, so it's okay that you betrayed your wife with her. It's not like that. Then what is it like, Ryan? I heard myself say. My voice was surprisingly calm. Please, explain it to me. Explain how you've been sleeping with the girl I tried to be a mother to. The girl I loved, the girl who called me for advice and cried on my shoulder and let me believe we had something real. Celine, Ryan reached for me across the table. Don't touch me. Helen stood up, her small frame somehow commanding the entire room. She walked around the table to where I was standing and took both of my hands in hers. Her eyes were filled with tears. I am so sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I raised him better than this. I promise you, Celine. I raised him to be a better man than this. I know you did, Helen, I said, and my voice finally cracked. Helen squeezed my hands once more, then picked up her purse from the back of her chair. She looked at Ryan, and the disappointment in her face was devastating. Don't call me, she said. Don't come to see me. Not until you've figured out what kind of man you want to be. And it better not be this one. She walked out, her back straight, her head high. Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. Celine, if you need anything, and I mean anything, you call me. We're here for you. This, he gestured at Ryan and Carrie, this is unforgivable. He and Sonia left, Sonia pausing to hug me tight before they walked out. Beth came around the table and hugged me hard. I'm sorry my brother is a piece of shit, she whispered in my ear. Call me, anytime. I mean it. And then they were all gone. Just me, Ryan, and Carrie sitting at a table covered in half-eaten pot roast and apple pie and shattered family bonds. Celine, please. Ryan stood up, reached for me again. I stepped back. Don't. This wasn't supposed to happen like this, Carrie said through her tears. We didn't mean to hurt you. It happened. We tried to fight it, but you tried to fight it? I turned to look at her, really look at her. You tried to fight calling me 2 weeks ago to ask for career advice. You tried to fight texting me funny memes. You tried to fight planning to meet me for brunch to tell me you were pregnant, like everything was normal. Her face crumpled. You were pregnant when you called me 2 weeks ago, weren't you? I asked softly. A tiny nod. Did he know? Another nod. And you still called me, still pretended, still let me give you advice and love you, and try to help you with your life. I'm sorry, she whispered. I turned to Ryan. 11 years. I gave you 11 years of my life. I gave up on ever having children, made peace with that loss because I thought we were building something together. I loved you. I loved her. I tried so hard to be a good wife, a good stepmother. You are, Ryan said desperately. You are, Celine. This was a mistake. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. Get out. This is my house. Get out, both of you, now. They left. Carrie was still crying. Ryan kept trying to say something, but I'd already turned away. When the door closed behind them, I stood alone in my dining room, surrounded by the ruins of what was supposed to be a family dinner, and felt surprisingly calm. It was done. It was over. I started clearing the table, scraping plates, storing leftovers, the automatic motions of cleanup. When I got to the ultrasound photo, still sitting in the center of the table, I picked it up and looked at it one more time. A baby, Carrie and Ryan's baby. I tore the photo in half, then in half again and again, until it was just tiny pieces of paper. I threw them in the trash. Monday morning at 8 a.m., I sat across from Janet in her office. I'd brought my laptop with all the documentation, credit card statements, phone records, location data, photos of the prenatal vitamins, the torn pieces of the ultrasound photo taped back together. I want the house, I said. My voice was steady, businesslike. I want half the business value paid out over time. I want my retirement accounts kept intact. I want everything I'm entitled to under Arizona law, and I want it ironclad. Janet reviewed my evidence, her expression growing more serious with each page. Arizona is a no-fault divorce state, but infidelity can absolutely affect property division, especially under these circumstances. The fact that he had a parental role in her life, even if not legally. She shook her head. A judge is not going to look kindly on this. Good. I'll file the papers today. Given the evidence and the circumstances, I think we can move through this relatively quickly. He's not going to want to fight this in court, not with all of this coming out publicly. She was right. Within a week, Ryan's lawyer had contacted Janet. They wanted to settle, wanted to avoid a court battle. Ryan would agree to my terms. In the meantime, word had spread through North Scottsdale like wildfire. Helen had told her friends at church, explaining why she wouldn't be seeing her son for a while. Marcus had made a vague announcement to his congregation about praying for his family during a time of crisis. Beth had told everyone she knew. My phone exploded with calls and text. "Oh my God, Celine, I just heard. I'm so sorry. What can I do? I can't believe he would do that. With his stepdaughter? That's disgusting. You poor thing. Let me bring you dinner." There were some cruel calls, too, anonymous numbers. "Maybe if you'd satisfied your husband at home, you must have known something was wrong in the marriage. Older women need to accept when they can't compete." I blocked every single one. My bridge club rallied around me. Patricia, the club president, organized a dinner train, different members bringing me meals every evening so I wouldn't have to cook. They sat with me, let me talk or not talk, just provided presence and support. My friend Diane took me out to lunch at a quiet cafe. "How are you really?" she asked, watching me push salad around my plate without eating. "I don't know," I admitted. "Some moments I'm fine. I'm even relieved that it's over. Other moments I feel like I'm drowning." "That's completely normal." "Is it normal that I miss her?" My eyes filled with tears. "I miss Carrie. I miss our brunches and our phone calls and feeling like I had someone to mother. How pathetic is that?" "It's not pathetic," Diane said firmly. "It's grief. You didn't just lose a husband. You lost a daughter figure, too." That made me cry harder, right there in the cafe. Ryan tried to call. I didn't answer. He came to the house. I changed the locks. He sent flowers, expensive arrangements that probably cost a fortune. I donated them all to a hospice center. 3 weeks after the dinner, Carrie sent me a long text message. "Celine, I know you probably hate me. You should. I hate myself. I need you to know. I looked up to you so much. You were everything I wanted to be. Strong, successful, kind. When my mom left and moved to California, I felt so alone. And when Ryan started paying attention to me, really seeing me, I felt special for the first time in so long. I know that's not an excuse. I know it's wrong. I know I betrayed you in the worst possible way. But I felt invisible for so long, and suddenly someone was looking at me like I mattered. I'm scared, Celine. I'm going to have this baby, and I don't know if Ryan really wants to be involved or if he's just saying that. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't expect you to respond. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry." I read that message 3 times, sitting on my back patio with a glass of wine, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold and pink. Part of me felt a twinge of pity. She was young. She was scared. She'd made a terrible choice, and now she was going to pay for it for the rest of her life. But a larger part of me, the part that had been betrayed, humiliated, lied to for over a year, felt nothing. I typed out a response. "I can't forgive you. Not now. Maybe not ever, but I hope you become the mother your daughter needs. Lose my number." I hit send, then immediately blocked her contact. The divorce moved forward quickly. Ryan agreed to all my terms. He didn't want to drag this out, didn't want more people finding out the details. His business was already suffering. Some clients had canceled contracts when word got around about what he'd done. I got the house. I got half the value of his business to be paid out over 5 years. I kept my retirement accounts intact. Ryan moved into a condo in Tempe, close to Carrie. Through Helen, who still called me every Sunday, I heard updates. The baby was due in June. Carrie had quit her job. The morning sickness was too severe, and then She was showing too much. Ryan was supporting her financially. They were struggling, fighting. The reality of a baby was very different from the fantasy of an affair. He made his bed, Helen said grimly. Now he has to lie in it. I'm just sorry you got hurt in the process. Me too, I said. But slowly, I started to heal. I threw myself into work. I closed 3 major sales in 2 months. My broker was impressed, offered me a partnership opportunity. I accepted. I joined a women's hiking group that met every Saturday morning. We tackled Camelback Mountain, Tom's Thumb, Pinnacle Peak. The women were all in their 50s and 60s, divorcees, widows, empty nesters. They understood loss. They understood rebuilding. We didn't always talk while we hiked, but the companionship was enough. I spent more time volunteering at the desert botanical garden, my hands in the soil, helping things grow. There was something therapeutic about nurturing plants, watching them bloom despite the harsh desert conditions. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Patel, once a week. At first, I just told the story over and over. The discovery, the investigation, the dinner, the divorce. She listened without judgment. I feel so stupid, I said in one session. I should have seen the signs. Or, Dr. Patel said gently, 2 people you trusted worked very hard to deceive you. That doesn't make you stupid. That makes them deceptive. But there must have been something wrong with me, with our marriage, for him to— Stop, she interrupted. His choices are not your fault. You could have been the perfect wife in every conceivable way, and he still might have made this choice, because this is about his character, not yours. That helped. Slowly. 5 months after the dinner, I ran into Jennifer, Carrie's mother, and Ryan's ex-wife at Whole Foods. I was in the produce section testing avocados for ripeness when I heard someone say my name. Jennifer stood there with a cart full of groceries, looking uncomfortable. Celine, I heard what happened. I don't even know what to say. Neither do I said honestly. We stood there awkwardly, other shoppers moving around us. I failed her, Jennifer said finally. As a mother, I moved away, chased my own happiness with Mark, and I left her here feeling abandoned. That doesn't excuse what she did, but I bear some responsibility. She's an adult, I said. She made her own choices. Yes, but, Jennifer hesitated. I thought you should know, she's miserable. The baby's due next month, and she's essentially alone. Ryan works all the time. I think he's avoiding the reality of what he's done. She called me last week, crying, saying she ruined her entire life. I didn't know what to feel. Satisfaction? Pity? Both? Neither? I'm not telling you this to make you feel sorry for her, Jennifer continued quickly, or to ask you to forgive her. You were good to her. Better than I was, honestly, and I thought you deserved to know that your goodness wasn't wasted even if she betrayed it. She knows what she lost. Thank you, I said quietly. We parted ways, both of us with our carts full of groceries, both of us with our complicated histories. 6 months after the dinner in September, Helen called me. The baby was born, she said. A girl, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, they named her Madison. How is everyone? Tired, overwhelmed. Carrie's mother came out to help for a few weeks, but had to go back to California. Ryan is, well, he's trying, but I think he's realizing what he gave up. What he gave up? You, Helen said simply. A stable life, a partner, a real relationship. Instead, he has a crying baby and a girl who's barely out of college who resents him half the time. I didn't know how to respond to that. I'm not saying this to hurt you, Helen continued, or to suggest you should take him back. God knows you shouldn't. I just want you to know that you won. Not because they're suffering, but because you're free. She was right, I realized. I was free. 1 year after that terrible Sunday dinner, in March again, spring returning to Arizona, I stood in my backyard looking at my garden. I'd spent the year transforming it, raised beds full of vegetables, tomatoes and peppers and zucchini, rose bushes in every color, a jasmine vine climbing the back fence, filling the air with perfume, a small fountain I'd installed myself, watching YouTube videos to figure out how. This garden was mine. I'd created it, I'd nurtured it, and it was beautiful. My business was thriving. The partnership had become official. I'd closed more deals in the past year than in any year previous. My social life was full. Bridge club, hiking group, garden club, book club. I'd started taking a pottery class on Thursday evenings, learning to throw bowls and vases on a wheel. My hands were always covered in clay dust now. I was 57 now. My hair was completely silver, and I'd stopped coloring it months ago. I liked how it looked. Distinguished. Earned. One Saturday afternoon, I was at Target buying new sheets when I saw her. Carrie. She was in the baby aisle, pushing a stroller, looking exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, wearing sweatpants and a stained t-shirt. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked so much older than 28. Our eyes met across the aisle. Her face went white, then red. Celine, dash dash. I could have walked away, could have pretended I hadn't seen her. Instead, I walked over and looked in the stroller. A baby girl, maybe 9 months old, big brown eyes, Ryan's eyes, staring up at me curiously. She's beautiful, I said quietly. Carrie started crying right there in the baby aisle. I'm so sorry, she said through her tears. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I ruined everything, but I'm so sorry. I looked at this young woman, this girl really, who'd made such terrible choices and was now living with the consequences. Exhausted, alone most of the time, her youth and opportunities evaporated. I hope you figure it out, I said. I hope you become the mother she deserves. Are you? She wiped her eyes. Are you okay? I considered the question. Was I okay? Yes, I said, and I meant it. I am. I heard about your business, about the partnership. I'm glad you're doing well. I nodded. Take care of yourself, Carrie. I walked away, didn't look back. Finished my shopping, loaded my car, drove home. That evening, I sat on my back patio with a glass of wine, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple and pink. I thought about the past year, the devastation, the betrayal, the anger and grief and slow, painful healing. I thought about Ryan, probably tired and frustrated in his condo, woken up by a crying baby multiple times a night, tied to a responsibility he never really wanted with a woman he never really loved. I thought about Carrie, alone with an infant, her dreams of a career and travel and youth gone, trapped in a life she'd created but probably regretted. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vengeful. I felt free. For so much of my life, I had defined myself through relationships. My parents' daughter, my first husband's wife, Ryan's wife, Carrie's stepmother, always in relation to someone else. Now, I was just Celine. And for the first time in my 57 years, that was enough. More than enough. I raised my wine glass to the sunset, to the mountains, to the garden I'd created with my own hands. To new beginnings, I whispered. Has this ever happened to you or a friend of yours? I would love to hear your story. Can you also do me a favor and subscribe to this channel? This way, we can meet again in another story